When you buy a new car, dealerships cannot sell it to you if it's actively under recall. But used cars are a different story, and we found dealerships across the state are selling cars with open recalls for issues that in some cases have killed drivers. We do want to warn you, some of the photos you are about to see may be disturbing.
It almost killed me. It could have killed me.
John Hilly considers himself lucky, despite having major injuries from a minor crash.
I had a piece of metal through here all the way that I could touch with my tongue. There was another entry wound on the bottom of my jaw where he could see my bone.
The metal that injured him came shooting out of his airbag. It's happened to hundreds of people across the country. At least 19 of them didn't survive.
So you had a Takata airbag?
I did.
Tens of millions of vehicles in the United States have defective Takata airbags and are under recall. Every single one of them can be sold on a used car lot, unfixed, without the customer knowing. We found multiple vehicles with open Takata recalls for sale here in Georgia, from Smyrna to Newnan, Griffin to Suwanee, and everywhere in between.
It's not right, and they're putting their lives at risk, their families' lives, their kids' lives.
They're taking your money for a product. It should be sold with something you can trust and knowing that it's going to work for what you paid for.
But attorney Andrew Felix says there is no law forcing used car dealerships to fix those issues before selling the car, or to even warn you. And Takata is far from the only recall issue drivers should worry about.
I remember my dad telling me he couldn't stop, he couldn't see.
Kimberly Pierce's father died after his 2017 Kia Forte crashed. She says the engine and brakes failed while he was driving, and the airbag never went off. In another case, this 2017 Kia Sportage burst into flames idling on the road. Nevada Stucking barely escaped.
It was on fire.
And nothing had happened. There wasn't a crash.
No crash. Driving in traffic, stopped at the red light waiting to turn.
The makes and models of both these cars are under recall, and we found used car dealerships selling them, the recall issues unfixed.
There were a total of 20 cars on your lot that are actively under recall. We checked the VIN numbers, they're on NHTSA.
We looked up more than a dozen used car dealers in the Atlanta metro area. Every single one had at least one car on their lot under recall. Some dealerships listed vehicles for sale despite recalls saying they're not safe to drive, like this dealership in Lithia Springs.
Is it urgent? Do not drive this vehicle.
Those are, as you know, it's news. Somebody want to make a scene.
You think that this isn't legitimate? It's from the government. The federal government is saying don't drive it.
Somebody has a benefit out of it.
So are you going to still sell this car, or are you going to try and get it fixed?
Actually, I'm going to call my guy.
What do you think about the fact that used car dealerships can sell a car just like your father's to somebody else?
It's a tragic thing that something like that isn't illegal.
There's nothing illegal about them selling a car that has an open recall.
And I'll say there's nothing illegal yet. And if the people, the community, the public speaks up and says, no, that's not okay. And that's what you're doing here today, raising awareness that this is not illegal.
Attorney Rita Tucker-Williams says used car dealerships could be liable in civil court for selling a car they know is unsafe. But if they're not required to check for recalls, then they can say they had no knowledge of an issue. Some lawmakers in Congress proposed this bill to make it illegal for used car dealers to sell a vehicle with an open recall, but that was over a year ago. It's sat in committee ever since.
It's crazy how they can let these cars go off the lots to these people knowing that there's a problem, and they just let it go anyways.
Well, not every dealership discloses those recalls, so here's what you need to know to be safe. Every car has a VIN number. Just type yours into the NHTSA website to see if it has an open recall. And we have a link explaining how to do that on 11alive.com.